Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be all about...
my new pomegranate bar?
What's that?
New pomegranate snap bar.
That's nice. What's that?
Isn't it nice? It's
lovely.
from our shop made in Wax Melts. Can you mention it to viewers?
Link in the description, guys. Go away, I'm doing a video. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. I'm really excited at the moment because I found a missing link in my photography that's kind of made things, it's a bit of a game changer for me, which is exposing for shadows and developing for me highlights. It's an old school term. Most of you have probably heard about it, but I probably guarantee that a lot of you are confused like I am with the zone system and exposing for shadows and developing for highlights. This is a spot meter, and this was kindly sent to me by Kevin McLaughlin out in New York over a year ago now, and I've been using it extensively. It's a fantastic bit of kit. It's a Sonic L508 Zoom Master, and it's got incident reading, and it's also got spot metering as well. You've got to look through here and like a telescope. Do you remember Bionic Man as a kid? That little action figure, a little tiny telescope in the back of his head. It's a bit like that. So you look through, except it didn't give you no light meter readings, but you look through there and you pinpoint where you want to meter on, and then you press the button and it will give you a reading. But the thing is, the meters only ever give you a reading for middle grey. It's up to you as the photographer to decide how to interpret that in your camera when you take the photograph, if you want it lighter the middle grey or darker the middle grey. No matter what you point, sorry, there was something fell over then. Well, no matter what you point, no matter what you point the spot meter at, it'll always give you middle grey. If you point it at a black car, press the button, put it into your camera, take the shot, the car will be middle grey. Same as a white car, same as a white piece of card, same as a black piece of card, same as a brick wall, anything. It'll only give you the values for middle grey. And like I said, it's up to you as a photographer to put that into your camera and decide where you want that middle grey to be, lighter or darker. So I'll give you an example. The other week I was up on the Downs and I was taking photographs of the trees, and there was this tree trunk that I wanted to take a photograph of. I'd done a spot meter reading on the tree trunk itself, knowing that it was going to return a value of middle grey. So once I got the value inside the light meter, I dialed that into the camera, but I don't want to take that shot because that tree trunk will be middle grey, like the light meter said. So I can't remember the values, but let's just say, for example, it was 5.6 at 15th of a second shutter speed, what the meter gave me for middle grey. All I need to do is just darken that down a bit. So I'd keep the same aperture, but I'd go to 1/60th of a shutter speed, which is 2 stops difference. I've done that quite a lot in the past, and it works well for me. When I get back and develop the negative, usually I get a nice decently balanced out neg. However, I do have trouble with the highlights, especially if it's a bright day. So if I'm using that theory of spot metering and then stopping down a couple of stops in the camera and it's a bright day, I'll have trouble with my highlights, and you'll often see me burning the highlights in the darkroom to try and make the print. To me, that's not really a big deal, but when you've got a tree there and a sky in the background and then you're going to try and dodge around that, it becomes troublesome because you end up with halos around the trees, and it just becomes a pain in the butt, you know. So I thought to myself, I must try and get my head around this exposing for shadows and developing for highlights. And I've been trying to figure this out for the last couple of years, the zone system and that, and every time I come around to it, it's like headache, and I put it down, I go, okay, I'll try something else. But the last few weeks I've really been trying to study it, and all of a sudden the penny's dropped. So what I'm doing is exposing for my shadows. That's all fine. It's the development side of things. I've realised that I'm leaving my negatives or my film in the developer for too long. I'm leaving it in there for the manufacturer's recommended time, but the manufacturer's recommended time don't realise that in effect I'm exposing for the shadows. So naturally it's going to blow my highlights out. The film is in the developer too long. So this is a game changer. If I can try and now work on these lines and go forward, somehow I'll be able to put the zone system into my spot metering, into my development, and come out with some really nice negatives, which I don't have to do much dodging and burning in the darkroom. Maybe just a couple of filters, but you know, I won't suffer from halos and stuff. So anyway, I'm quite excited about going forward with this process. So I'm going to go out in a moment. I'm going to shoot some HP5 on the Mamiya RZ. I'm just going to take a little walk around the village and try and find some scenes. It's not really contrasty out there, but it will give you an idea of what I'm talking about. So let's get together. We'll go down to the village, take some photographs, and then we'll come back and we'll pull the development and see how the negatives look. So enough talk, let's put this into practice. So I'm all set up and ready to go. I've got the Mamiya RZ, got a roll of HP5 inside, and I've got my spot meter here. I've got a nice bobble out on my head because it's bloody cold. The conditions ain't as bright as I thought, but we still got some quite highlights up there in the sky. It's still quite bright in the sky, so that's okay. So I'm going to use the spot meter, look around my scene. I'm going to find the darkest part of the scene where there's just about some detail going on, and spot for that. That will return on the meter middle grey. And then, you know, I'll say to the meter, I don't want middle grey, mate, that's just not enough for me. I need to darken it down a little bit by a couple of stops. So if I visualise that zone system in my head, zone 5 is going to be middle grey. I want to bring it down to not 4, but down to 3, where I can just about get detail in my shadows. So that's the idea. And then when I get back, I'm going to underdevelop the film by 30%. So 12 minutes brings it down to, I don't know, what's that, 7.5, 8 minutes? I'll have a look when I get back. But let's do some metering up and take a first shot. So I've just done my reading for that little tiny bit of the wall over there. That's the darkest part where I've got most detail going on. It's given me f16 at 1/15th of a second, but that will only return middle grey. I don't want that, otherwise everything's going to be light, the wall's going to be middle grey, and that's what this meter's telling me. It's saying, look, this is what middle grey is, what do you want to do? And I'm like, well, I don't want it to be middle grey, so I'm going to throw that into 2 stops under, so that will be bringing it down into zone 3. So instead of 15th of a second, I'll shoot at 60th of a second. So let's do that first one. So f16, 60th of a second, there's the ducks, shot done. Right, let's move on. So you can see it's pretty much what I'm doing is just metering for the shadows where there's just about enough detail, taking a reading which is giving me middle grey, and then underexposing by a couple of stops. So if it's 15th of a second, I'll go to 60th of a second. I've kept my aperture the same, trying to keep it around f16, which is nice for bags of detail in the shot and not loads of sharpness, you know. So I've only taken 5 shots. So now I'm back out of the cold, I'm back in my darkroom, and these are the negatives. I developed these, like I said, in X-Tol, 1 part to 1 part for 7 minutes. The development time for HP5 and X-Tol recommended is 10 minutes, but of course we know that I'd spotted on the shadow detail and allowed 2 stops in my exposure on the camera. So I pulled it by 30%, which was 7 minutes. So these were developed in X-Tol 1 part to 1 part for 7 minutes, and they've all come out really nice. I've got a few others over there, another 4 that I can't fit on the light box, but these have all come out really nice. I can see bags of tone inside all of these negs, apart from one, which I ain't got a clue what happened there. This one here, but no, not that one there. I don't know what happened there, obviously a camera problem, for my part no doubt. But these are the negs, so I'm really happy with what I've got. So let's get these under the enlarger. We'll have a look at a couple of these negs and see how they print in the darkroom. Hold on, but wait, what's that in my darkroom? That's one of my daughter's soy wax melts burning in here. Rhubarb and custard. Smells nice, but that's going to fog me paper. Okay, so I'm ready to start making some prints. I'm going to work on the first photograph that I took, which was one that I put on Instagram. That was the other photographs that you saw in the video so far, guys. They're DSLR scans. Right, okay, this looks good. Straight away I can see bags of detail. You can see it all these white areas. That's the area I spotted on, which is going to be darker obviously because it's white. The dark areas are going to be white. I've got loads of mid-tones. There's so much tonality in this negative. I'm going to make a nice print. Just looking at the sky, hopefully I can build that and see what happens. That's the whole point, is so I can get my highlights without doing any burning. Let's see. Let's just pull the aperture down. I'm going to put a 2.5 grade contrast in under my lens. And that's just going to balance that paper out. It's probably 2 or 2.5 grade anyway, but I always start with a filter just in case I need to do any split grading, and then I know where I started from. So that's on there. Place my test strip right across the middle, increments of 2 seconds. Go. 4, 6, 8, 10. The light just blipped there, but shouldn't be a problem. Let's have a look at this. So I've just done quite a few tests on that first neg, and the sky was giving me a bit of trouble after all that. What I was saying, that I think I've nailed it with a contrast 3 filter, but I'm still going to have to tuck that sky in a little bit, burn it in just slightly to make it work. See how it goes. But from what I can see, all the tonal values look really nice. So let's just go for a full size print. So it's just 4 seconds contrast 3 filter I'm using. I'm just going to burn that sky in, exactly what I said I wasn't going to do, but I am. 1, 2, and the top of the trees, and off. Let's develop it. So put it inside the developer. This is fresh Ilford's multi-grade, and I'm using Kentmere VC Select paper, 12-inch paper. And it's coming out really nice. Just had to tickle that sky a little tiny bit just to make it pop, but I don't mind that. As long as all the other tones have come out, that's great. So I'll just get this stopped, fixed and washed, hang it out and show you guys. So that's the final print from that negative. I've got bags of detail going on. I'm quite happy with it. I could have done a little tiny bit of dodging here just to make this less grey maybe, but I had to do a little tiny bit of burning in the sky. It was literally only a few seconds to make it stand out a little bit. So a little bit disappointed with that one, but maybe that was my metering. You can see down here I've got the detail in as well. Just a little tiny bit of maybe dodging. I could have just held back the light on the lake here a little bit more maybe. But it is what it is. It's okay for the first attempt at what I'm trying to do, you know, this expose and develop for the highlights. Well, so this is a second print that I made from the second shot that I took on the little waterfall and the waterwork business going on there. Again, the sky, not as much detail, as I could have just burned that in a little tiny bit, but I've got detail everywhere else, especially in the shadow areas where I spot metered, which was here. I could see all the detail going on this water. Well, I don't know what it is. What is it? Metal stuff. All the detail going on there, and I've got loads of detail in the water as well, especially in the wake at the bottom. It's just the sky that I can't seem to control at the moment. And here's another print here as well, one of the trees that I took photographs of looking up. Always difficult, you're pointing up towards the sky, but I've got these, this is the area that I did my spot metering on, and everything else has come out quite nice. A little bit dark in this area, but I've got detail in all of the tree really, and also the sky. You can see it against the inertia of the paper there. But yeah, just around this bit here, just lost some detail. Maybe I could have done a bit of jiggery pokey on the enlarger with this, but you know, I just want to see how these negs kind of perform with doing as minimal trickery in the darkroom as possible. It's not too bad. So this is the final print I've made, which is the bridge in our village, and it's come out okay. I didn't use any filters at all on this one, just straight off 4 seconds, and I've got loads of detail going on. This is the area that I spotted, which is on the dark part of the bridge, and I've got loads of detail there, but just again in the sky I can see a slight difference between the sky and inertia of the paper. Very slight cloud going on here, but not as much as I expected. I thought that would have maybe have evened out more. So again, with this print I would have needed to have just burned in just a couple of seconds of the top part to bring the sky out, but I'm not going to bother doing that because I know it's just going to pull the sky out, and there'll be no point. But again, loads of detail in the print, like I said, especially around all the stonework here, all these bushes and trees all around here. So I've got loads of detail in the dark areas. There's loads of tones going on. It's just the sky that's a bit of a shame. So I finished my darkroom session. You can see from the board behind me how much test strips I've been doing, trying to play around with these prints. That was the first one that I did there of the lake in the village where I am. It was alright. Didn't get the detail quite as much as I wanted in the sky. I just had to do a little tiny bit burning in. So, you know, but all the detail was there, the shadow detail, etc. And then the second one that I did, which was the waterworks, again, just lost detail in the sky, although in the negative I can see it, and when I DSLR scanned them I could also see it again. So, you know, again, I'd have had to have just done a little tiny bit of burning in the sky on that one, which kind of contradicts what I said earlier on about I may not have to do any more burning in the sky with with exposing for the shadows and developing for highlights. And that's the tree as well. That one I think was a 2.5 grade filter all the way through, no mucking about with that one, and that's come out quite nice with some tones as well. And the one that I just showed you with the bridge, which is hanging out at the moment, to dry. So that was all fun and games. As you guys know, this channel is all about shooting and learning film photography, and I've learned so much over the last few years I've had the channel. I'm trying to learn new things with this zone system and trying to get it into my head how it works, and this is kind of like my first attempt at trying it out, exposing for the shadows and developing for the highlights, and didn't come out quite as well as I thought. I had to burn in the skies a little tiny bit. I thought they would have rendered quite well in the darkroom, but it wasn't to be. Maybe, you know, maybe it was the lack of contrast in the scenes I was shooting. Maybe on a better, brighter day it might have worked with some more clouds in the sky, maybe. Or maybe choosing a filter for the lens, maybe a yellow filter might have been able to cut through that a little tiny bit and made the skies pop. I don't know until I get out and try a little bit more. And I think that's the fun part about film photography. There's always something you need to learn, something that you can go forward and keep trying until, I wouldn't say master it, until you're happy with what you've got. So I'm going to try it again and see what happens next time. As I say, maybe put a yellow filter on the camera lens, that might help a little bit, and also play around with the development side of things as well. So lots to learn about it. If any of you guys watching this video are experiencing the zone system or with exposing for the shadows, developing for highlights, if you've got experience in that, let us know in the comments what you think, where I may have gone wrong or what I may have done right. I ain't got a clue. There's no one up the road I can go and see, or there's no one up the road that can come in here and teach me. So we're pretty much on our own, apart from me and you. So anyway guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for all the guys that support the channel. I really do appreciate it. And don't forget, my daughter's wax melts, link in the description. I'll catch you next time.